What is up there? Welcome to a brand new video on 414 Anime. In today's video, we will be looking at all of Tohka Yatogami's forms and powers. Tohka has had quite a few different forms, each that looked incredible and also came with some pretty amazing power, which is amazing in itself considering that a normal spirit has just the inverse form as an alternative. Tohka, on the other hand, has 5 and we'll be going through each of them today. So yeah, in today's video, we will break down each of these forms and look at their power as well as any other interesting information surrounding them. The rest of the videos in this Patreon exclusive will focus on Tohka's origin, and another video will cover Tohka's true identity. This video is a Patreon exclusive for quarter 2 of 2021, and a thank you for your support. If you are watching this in quarter 3 onwards, why not check out my Patreon page to see what exclusive videos are available now. And of course, goes without saying, but there will be spoilers here, so you have been warned. Anyway, with that being said, let's roll intro and get straight into the video. So starting this one off with Tohka's spirit form. Tohka is an incredibly strong spirit, AAA ranked in fact, and an exceptional fighter. She uses her own Rei Ryoku as pure energy to enhance both her attack and defensive abilities. Combining this with very strong and equally quick attacks, Tohka has a highly offensive fighting style. What is worth mentioning here too is that Tohka is a pure spirit. This means that if Tohka is killed, she can resurrect herself using her Sephira crystal. However, the crystal must remain intact, which means if Tohka's Sephira crystal were to be destroyed, Tohka would die also. As for her appearance and weapons, Tohka's astral dress is Adonai Melech. Her angel is Sandalphon, and her weapon is that of a large broadsword and a throne. The throne acts as a scabbard for her sword, as well as being able to transform into different modes that enhance Tohka's abilities. Using Sandalphon, Tohka is able to fire energy in the form of a slash or a shockwave, and can infuse a Rei Ryoku encasement around the sword to increase its strength. In her spirit form, Tohka has an ability called Final Sword Halvan Helev, which is the true form of her angel. This is unlocked by slicing straight through her throne, cutting it clean in half and adding the shattered pieces to the sword, which drastically increases her angel's destructive power. She also has the ability called Armor Mode Ratelabish, in which she uses the throne as armor for her own body, significantly boosting her defense. Finally, there is an unnamed ability in which Tohka can use the throne as a mode of transport. It can be ridden and flies through the air at great speeds. Next up, we are going to look into her inverse form. Tohka's inverse form, or Tohka's noise form, as I like to call it, is home to her true self or identity, if you will, which is that of Tenka. Tenka's fighting style is a lot more aggressive than Tohka's, though their abilities are said to be very similar. Tenka's offensive stats have been observed as better than Tohka's, though she has a lot lower defensive stats. Even with these lower defensive stats, she was still able to take a point-blank attack from Ellen and remain unscathed. Tenka's Demon King is called Nahama, Tyrant Ruler. A Demon King is basically the counter-opposite of a Spirit's Angel, but works in the same way. Nahama is a one-edged sword rather than the broadsword of Sandalphon. It is also a darker color as well as the throne that it is sheathed. Her ability in her inverse form is called Final Sword Pavashlev. Again, it works in the same way that Halvan Helev does, but is a darker version, and it is said that a single swing of her sword using this ability has enough power to wipe out a complete city. Next up is Tohka's full form, and I've got to say, this form looks absolutely stunning. I love the addition of the wings and the color scheme overall, and I won't lie, nice. Her sword in this form also looks pretty swish, basically a more elegant upgrade in my opinion. So, Tohka's full form was in the Data Live movie Mayuri Judgment, and she obtains this form by temporarily gaining the power of all the spirits Shido had sealed up to that point. As well as this huge increase in power, in this form Tohka also gains a new astral dress called Adonai Melech Ensiphol, Spirit Dress of God's Authority number 10. This dress is a fusion of hers and the other spirit's astral dresses that she had gained the power of. As well as this, she also gains a new spirit called Shekinah, Emperor of Annihilation. This, like Sandalphon, is another broadsword, and one of the coolest things about Tohka's full form is that she still has the ability to summon Sandalphon. This means that she can dual wield both angels, which I think is freaking awesome, man. Moving on to Tohka's D.E.A.R form, and there are some major story spoilers going forward for the anime-only watchers, so here is your heads up. So, after taking Mio, the Spirit of Origin's Sephira Crystal, Tohka gained Mio's ability of being able to rewrite the world and manipulate the laws of reality. In doing so, she was able to create a temporary body for Tenka, her inverse self. However, they had used a lot of Rei Ryoku to keep this world stable and immune from being taken over by the Sephira. Before Tenka's world collapsed, both Tohka and Tenka managed to fuse together using Mio's Sephira Crystal. This resulted in a new astral dress that was a combination of both of theirs as well as the addition of wings. In this new D.E.A.R form, they can wield both Tenka's Demon King and Tohka's Angel at the same time. Nahama was in her left hand and Sandalphon in her right. It's also worth mentioning that her eyes match this too, as the left eye resembles Tenka's and the right Tohka's. I personally think this was a really awesome addition to the D.E.A.R form's design. So going back to the swords, and just as the theme of this form is combination, the ability they have is exactly that. Final Sword Yezalhlev, Sword of Genesis, is a combination of both angels' abilities, and it is this ability that delivered the final blow to Mio. Finally, we have the alternate version of Tohka, also known as Parallel World Tohka or Beast. This Tohka actually comes from an alternate timeline, another world where the events of the main story had occurred differently. So I'm going to make a video going into the hows and whys of this form, so for this video I'll simply talk about the form and its powers. The most interesting feature with this Tohka is her silver white hair. I'm putting this down to stress, which is known as the Mary Antoinette syndrome. This is what Ken Kaneki suffered from in Tokyo Ghoul. Her skin tone is also ghost-like and her eyes are described as vacant. Her astral dress in this form is tattered and worn almost like that of a cloak. Now for me personally, this form just looks so awesome and I really love the story behind this alternate Tohka. And of course, Tohka's power here is absolutely insane. She is stronger than ever before, has an amazing level of durability and defense, as well as being fast enough to keep up with the Yamai sisters, who are the fastest of all spirits. Her spirit form actually has multiple angels, and when I say multiple angels, I mean that she has access to all 10 angels in the form of 10 different swords that surround her. Though she has access to all 10, Tohka can only use the abilities of 2 angels at any given time, and this is because she has to be holding the sword to activate its ability. Her own angel Sandalphon has changed as well. Instead of a broadsword or being represented by one of the floating swords, it is now 5 really sharp nails that float around her hand like that of a claw. And let me say, these things are no joke, as they are sharp enough to cut through anything, including that of space-time itself. So, moving on to the 10 swords floating around her that give her access to the other angels' abilities. The first sword is Metatron. It is a sharp-pointed sword with wings on its handle. Using this sword, Tohka can bring down rays of light upon her enemies. The second sword represents Raziel. This is a small pen-sized sword. Now, by writing down words in the air, Tohka is able to rewrite the future. Third sword represents Zafkiel. It is a thin sword that has 4 clock gears at its hilt. Interestingly, this sword is the only one that is at half power, and this is due to Kurumi's survival in the parallel world. Kurumi manages to steal the blade temporarily and notices that the 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 11th, and 12th bullets have been sealed. This is another nod as to why Kurumi is best girl. Even against this amazing spirit, she still manages to keep fighting. The 4th sword represents Zadkiel. It has 2 large extensions that resemble bunny ears at its curved handle. Using this sword, Tohka can dramatically lower the surrounding temperature as well as form ice walls. 5th sword represents Kamael. It is a great sword shaped like a battle axe. If Tohka stabs the ground with this sword, flames erupt from the ground like that of a volcano. The 6th sword represents Michael and is a key-shaped sword. Using this sword, Tohka can open up wormholes to use for blocking sneak attacks or for quick travel. The 7th sword represents Haniel. It is a small dagger that looks like a witch's hat. Unfortunately, the power for this one is unknown. The 8th sword represents Raphael. It is spiraled in shape, and when Tohka swings it, she can summon huge gusts of wind. The 9th sword represents Gabriel. This one is a thin sword that looks like a conductor's baton. When Tohka stabs this sword into the ground, it summons a large wall of sound that block enemy attacks. Finally, the 10th sword, and this one is interesting as it represents Tenka's demon king Nahama. This sword has the ability to cut through things that don't even have a physical appearance. And there we go, that was every form of Tohka Yatogami. I love Tohka's character and the designs of her different forms. All of them just look so good. Let me know in the comments section below which of Tohka's forms is your favorite. I'll of course be going into more detail with this in the other 2 videos in this exclusive series, where we look at Tohka's true identity Tenka, as well as Tohka's origins, so don't forget to check them out. Of course, if you enjoyed this Data Live video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with a fellow fan of the series. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. As always, a huge shout out to you for supporting me on Patreon. You are a huge part in my journey, and I really couldn't have done this without your support. If you're watching this video after quarter 2, then why not check out my Patreon and join our awesome community. But that is it from me. Till next time, my fellow weebs. Peace!